They weren't disrespectful by accident. They were watching how you let it slide. Because, Queen, silence isn't always peace. Sometimes it's permission. Hi, love. I'm Kay Ali Cole, and this is where women learn to love and lead from power, not panic. This is where we return to our truth and embody the strategy of peace, power, and purpose. This is your invitation to come home to your center. Before we begin, stay with me until the very end. Your exclusive Queen's Closing gift is waiting there for you. And I see so many of you beautiful queens watching but not subscribing yet. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You give me your time, I give you my best. That's our promise. I'll wait a minute, see if you subscribed. Did you? All right, well, thank you so much again for being here with me. Here's a hard truth we don't always want to say out loud, right? People will only do to you what your boundaries make room for. Let that breathe. Let that settle. Because when you let someone talk over you, dismiss your needs, violate your peace, or make you question your worth, and you respond with silence, softness, or the benefit of the doubt, you just taught them something. Not because you deserved it. Not because you're weak, but because you didn't disrupt it. Let's be clear. You're not responsible for how someone chooses to behave. Not at all. But you are responsible for the access you continue to give them. You are responsible for that. Just know that. You ever say, "It's okay, I'm just tired," when someone forgets your birthday again? Or make excuses like, "Maybe he's just busy," when he only reaches out at night? You're not overreacting, Queen. You're under-responding to what's real. You're under-responding, love. Now listen, this isn't about becoming defensive. This isn't about calling everybody out. This is about calibrating your energy to match the woman you're becoming. You don't have to snap to command respect. You just have to stop rewarding inconsistency. Right? Stop it. You have to stop. Maybe you were taught that love looks like sacrifice. That if you're understanding enough, patient enough, quiet enough, they'll see your worth. But here's what no one told you. Self-sacrifice is not the same as self-worth. You can be kind without being convenient. You can love deeply and draw lines. You can give grace without abandoning yourself. Putting yourself first doesn't make you selfish. It makes you available for your own healing. You're not turning your back on anyone. You're finally turning toward yourself. Yourself. And you deserve that. Even God gave people choice. Free will is sacred. And boundaries are how we steward that sacredness in our own lives. You weren't created to be consumed. You were created to be honored. And honoring starts with you, my love. It starts with you. Let me call this out real quick. It has to be said. Why do we act like the clearest red flag is just a warm shade of pink sometimes? We'll sit there like, maybe it's just a weird season. Meanwhile, the season's been 4 years and 5 therapy sessions long. Why? No, Queen. The pattern is the message. It is. It's the message, love. You teach people how to treat you, not just by what you say, but by what you say and stay there and stand for. You are not the woman who over-explains. You are not the woman who shrinks to keep the peace. You are not the woman who performs worthiness. You are already worthy. You're the woman who remembers every time I reinforce my boundary, I reinforce my worth. That's alignment. That's who you are now. So what happens next? You stop proving, you stop pacifying, you stop pretending that their crumbs are a feast. And you start showing people with every pause, every pivot, and every boundary, this version of me is no longer available for disrespect. Because Queen, what you allow continues. And what you align with, that becomes your new standard. Stay with me, we're just getting started. Let's get into something most people don't talk about. You probably heard this phrase, you teach people how to treat you, right? But what does that really mean? Because you didn't sit anyone down and give them a PowerPoint on here's how to disrespect me. You didn't hand out instructions. You didn't send a newsletter with the subject line, ways to disregard my worth. But what they picked up was the pattern. Not your words, not your beauty, not your ambition, your pattern. The ways you showed up, the boundaries you didn't keep, the yeses you gave when your spirit was screaming, hell no. That's what people responded to. And Queen, that's not your fault. But it is your signal. Because when your self-worth is unclear, your relationships become confused. Let me say it another way. Sometimes people don't mistreat you because they're malicious. They mistreat you because you kept showing up even after they did. Let that settle for a second. Think about it. You ever text back too fast after being ignored for 3 days just so you don't look pressed? Yeah. That's the moment the mistreatment gets misread as permission. And sometimes we think we're just being cool or letting it slide. But baby, they're not just watching your chill, love. They're learning what they can get away with every single time. Let's bring this home. You don't teach people with speeches. You teach them with presence, with pauses, with what you allow and what you no longer entertain. And that's not easy. I know it's not. It's one thing to say, I deserve more. It's another thing to hold the line when someone tests that claim. Because here's what healing teaches you. When you stop explaining your boundaries, when you stop overextending just to keep the peace, when you stop auditioning for the bare minimum, you find out real quick who respects the real you and who only liked you when you were easy to use. You'll find out really quickly. And Queen, this is the part where guilt loves to creep in. Because the moment you stop over-functioning for others, someone's going to call you selfish. The moment you prioritize your peace, someone's going to say you're changing. The moment you stop doing the emotional labor, you'll be told, oh, you switched up, huh? But that's not guilt, babe. That's grief. Grief for the version of you who thought overgiving was love. Grief for the old dynamic that you finally see was never balanced. Grief for the peace you could have had sooner, so sooner, if you had trusted yourself earlier. And you're allowed to feel that, but you're not required to go back. put on your oxygen mask on first. That's not selfish. That's sustainability. Because if you keep putting everyone before you, you will lose yourself serving people who only show up when they need you. And that's not connection. It's not. That's depletion. Listen, you don't have to explain yourself into exhaustion to prove you're a good person. Your worth is not your defense. It's in your decisions. Say that again out loud if you need to, right? And understand it within. Let's pause here because this even shows up in how men respond to you. Some of y'all are dating a man who says he's confused, but he's never confused about texting you when he wants something. That's not mixed signals. That's crystal clear. Because here's the truth. Masculine energy responds to boundaries, not begging. He doesn't need you to convince him of your value. He needs to feel your standard. And when he doesn't, he'll either rise or retreat. Not because you're too much, but because he wasn't ready for a woman who's not scared to choose herself. You have to choose you first. Always. God doesn't send peace into chaos without a reason. He doesn't. Some of you are the first calm voice in your family's dysfunction. The first woman in the line to say, no, this ends with me. And that's not just courage, that's calling. When you choose your worth, when you reset your relationships, when you refuse to carry what broke the woman before you, darling, that's spiritual authority. And heaven backs women up who stop mistaking dysfunction for destiny. You are called. You are chosen. You are worthy, love. Right? You ever block someone for your peace and then unblock them because your peace got boring? Yeah, crazy. Yeah, I'm guilty of that. But it's okay. That was the old you, that was the old me. The one who needed attention to feel chosen. You're not her anymore, neither am I. We're growing each and every day. And Queen, here's your reminder. You don't need to be harsh, love, to be clear. You don't need to cut people off with drama. You just need to stop over-explaining your worth to people who were never qualified to hold it. And here's what clarity looks like. Shorter responses, slower reactions, stronger decisions. People will feel your shift. They'll sense the distance. They'll notice the change. And that's fine. It's okay. Because when someone can no longer treat you casually, they'll either rise to meet you or remove themselves. Either way, love, you win. You win. Let's go deeper. Teaching people how to treat you doesn't always mean cutting them off. Sometimes it means restraining them, re-instructing them, reintroducing them to the woman they no longer get to mishandle. Because yes, some people will get dismissed, but others might actually be willing to meet the new standard. They just don't know what it is yet because you haven't shown them. This isn't about confrontation. It's about recalibration. You're not trying to control anyone. You're simply demonstrating what access to you requires now. Right? Why do we do this though? Like honestly. We'll say things like, I just wish they would treat me better. Then turn around and answer the phone the first ring after they ghosted us for a week. We've all been there. But here's the truth. Sometimes people are treating you exactly how they've been taught. And if you keep rewarding inconsistency with access, they're not going to change because they don't have to. There's no need, right? But wait, pause right here. If your peace feels weird, it's because your nervous system has been trained to feel safe in survival, love. That doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you're doing something different. And that's good. That's good. Now let's talk about what this looked like in the masculine. Because when a man starts sensing that you're no longer overextending for him, you know he either steps forward with clarity or fades into oblivion, right? And here's what most women don't know. Men don't need paragraphs. We love writing them, but they don't need it. They respond to presence. They don't analyze, they observe. When you go quiet on what no longer serves you, a man will do one of two things: respect the reset and reapproach with maturity, or retreat because he was only there for ease and not to evolve. He wasn't there for evolution. Let him show you who he is when you stop filling in the blanks for him. And Queen, God will often start removing things right after you get clear about it. Not to punish you, but to purify the path. When you start acting like the healed version of yourself, you will outgrow some rooms. You'll lose some conversations. You'll get quieter in spaces that once held your voice. But don't misread that isolation. Don't. It's alignment. It's spiritual decluttering. You ask for clarity, and God is giving it to you. Not just in what he says, but in what he removes, love. Right? And let's go here for a second. Choosing yourself. Choosing yourself feels selfish when your entire identity has been built on being needed. So when you shift into a space where you're no longer saving people with your energy, the guilt will scream louder than the peace at first. Well, listen, the peace is real. The guilt is just a leftover reflex. It's your old emotional programming trying to negotiate with your new boundaries. And Queen, it's okay to grieve the role you're releasing. It's okay. You're not here to earn love through exhaustion. You're here to receive love without performance. Showing up as your true authentic self. Being who you are and still being loved regardless. If this is speaking to you, Queen, pause right here, right now, and subscribe. You're not just watching this for content. You're watching because your spirit is asking for change. You give me your time and I give you my best. And we're on this journey together. And the change is now. And don't forget, your Queen's closing gift is waiting for you at the end of this message. Right? So let's continue. Go ahead and subscribe. You know the moment where someone says, I just assumed you were okay with it, right? And your chest is like, it tightens up because deep down you know they weren't wrong. Not because you were okay, but because you didn't correct them when you should have. That's how this treatment gets marked as misunderstanding. And that's where the reset begins. That's where it begins, right? You don't have to go off to be powerful. You don't need to burn bridges, love. Just stop walking across them like they're your only way forward. Start by responding slower, pausing before you explain, saying, that no longer works for me, and leaving it right there. People will adjust. It takes time, but they will. And if they don't, that tells you everything you need to know. Who's for you and who is no longer. Okay? And here's the quiet truth, Queen. Most of your real boundary work is not going to happen in conversation. It's going to happen in the gap, that sacred space between your awareness and your response. Not in what you explain, but in what you no longer entertain. And if we're honest, completely honest, the most life-changing shift isn't when you say, here's what I want now. It's not. It's when you stop giving energy to what you no longer accept. That's when people start to feel the change. Not because you made a speech, but because the door they used to walk through is now closed. Right? Revoking access in this year and into the next. And the funniest thing happened the other day. Yeah, I had a friend text me, you good? That's it. No context, no follow-up, just, you good? Now, 4 months ago, I would have dropped everything to decode that message. What does that really mean? Are they mad? Did I miss something? Is it shade or concern? Am I good? What does that mean? This time I just replied, yep. Y-E-P, yep. The old me would have spiraled trying to figure out what it means. Now, I just sip my tea and keep scrolling. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. Listen, peace doesn't beg for clarity. It doesn't. It becomes it. It becomes it. And we waste so much energy trying to reframe ourselves in other people's eyes. But it's not your job to manage their misunderstanding. It's your job to manage your maintenance. Because people will paint their own picture of you. The only thing you're responsible for is the frame, love. And if they don't like the new frame, that doesn't mean you go back and repaint the old one. No. That just means they no longer belong in the portrait. That's it. They no longer belong in the portrait, love. Your boundaries matter. Your standards matter. All of those things matter. You ever have someone casually text you again after weeks of silence as if you were just sitting there waiting? Rude, right? And for a second, you almost respond like nothing happened. That pause in your body, that's a reset. That's your healing asking, do we really want to teach them that silence still earns a response? Nah, we don't. We don't. When you change how you respond to masculine energy, you teach him something new about his own role. Here's what most women never realize. Men remember patterns. If you always gave access, even when he was inconsistent, he didn't have to be consistent. But now that you've changed, he's forced to question whether the old dynamic still works. That doesn't guarantee he'll rise to meet you, but it does mean he can no longer treat you like the old version of who didn't require more. And that's progress. And that's progress, love. So, Queen, just know God honors resets that align with his rhythm for your life. He does. The moment you release what doesn't reflect the woman he called you to become, you start feeling lighter. And that's not by accident. He's been waiting for you to make room for the divine partnerships he's designed. not the ones you're trying to hold together out of fear. When you stop chasing peace outside of yourself, you open the door for him to establish it within you, right? Everything you need is right here within you. Everything. Some of that guilt you're feeling isn't even yours, babe. It's a residue of being taught that good women keep everything together, even when it's tearing them apart. But listen, Queen, there's nothing holy about exhaustion. There's nothing loyal about self-abandonment. You don't have to overextend to prove your goodness. You're already good, even when you say no, especially when you say no. You're already good, already worthy. You're not being too sensitive. You're not overreacting. You're finally paying attention to what your body has been whispering all along. Every time you pause before responding, every time you give silence instead of over-explaining, you're reclaiming power. And that power, it doesn't need approval. It just needs practice. And that's what we're doing, right? That's what we're doing. Let me say this softly, but clearly. People can only follow the rules you actually enforce. That's it. You can make all the declarations you want. You can post all the quotes. You can speak the boundary out loud. But until your actions become the syllabus, they will never take the class seriously. So here's where we begin. Here's where we start. It's not about controlling anyone else. It's about coming into full agreement with yourself, with you. That means you don't keep re-explaining your standards, babe. You live by them. You don't keep making exceptions for red flags. You trust your first discernment. It's a gift. You don't just teach people how to treat you through conversation. You teach them with your consistency. With your consistency. Right? So, pause. Don't just hear this. Let it land in your spirit. This is your oxygen mask moment right here. Right here. You cannot build a healed identity on unstable environment. And here's what no one tells you. People may treat you better the moment you start treating yourself with honor, but some may treat you worse. Not because you're doing something wrong. Nope. But because your self-worth exposes their dysfunction. Your clarity removes their control. Your calm makes their chaos even louder. But you must stay anchored because you're not building comfort, you're building credibility with yourself. And every time you say no with grace, every time you walk away with peace, every time you protect your energy without guilt, you become the kind of woman who no longer teaches from her wounds, but from her wisdom. Her wisdom, right? It's not selfish to choose yourself. It is sacred. Because what you model for the world starts with what you model for your own nervous system. Saying no doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. Silence doesn't make you mean. It makes you measured. Distance isn't punishment. It's protection. And anyone who tries to guilt you for that was benefiting from your self-abandonment. Clock that, right? You know that moment when someone tests your boundary. Right after you just explained it. It's not a coincidence. It's confirmation. Confirmation that your boundary matters. Confirmation that your silence speaks. Confirmation that the old version of you isn't running this show anymore. Let them squirm. Let them adjust. But you stay still. Your new standard isn't up for negotiation. It's not. Let's speak this into your nervous system, right? I am not available for disrespect. I am not available for confusion. I am not available for inconsistency. I am no longer the woman who explains her worth. I embody it. I release the need to be understood by those committed to misunderstanding me. I give myself permission to walk in peace, even if it makes others uncomfortable. I give myself permission to walk in peace, even if it makes others uncomfortable. All right? Let's take this moment to breathe together. Take a moment to breathe. We're going to inhale, hold it, exhale. We're going to do it again. Inhale, hold it, and exhale. Doesn't that feel good? God is not asking you to become smaller to keep the peace, love. He's asking you to become still enough to protect it. You were not created to be everyone's lifeline. You were created to honor the divine order. Peace first, purpose next, partnerships last. Because when God sees you choosing yourself without guilt, He starts sending people who recognize your value, not just those who take from it. Right? Your Queen's closing gift is waiting for you. It's yours because you stayed until the end, and I don't take that lightly. I appreciate you so much. And I just want to let you know, if this message gave you language you didn't have before, if it helped you soften and strengthen at the same time, right? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I give you my best when you give me your time, and that's our promise. And if nobody's told you lately, I see you, I honor you, and I'm proud of the woman you're becoming. Thank you, and as always, stay blessed and stay crowned, Queen. All right, talk to you soon.